Clinton versus Trump, round one. Two political heavyweights. It was like the 1974 Ali versus Foreman fight, assuming both men were in totally different rings on different continents, shadow boxing against opponents who weren't even there. Oh, and if both boxers had been on a training regimen of Twinkies and long naps. I'm Steve Green with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott, and this is the right angle on the first presidential debate of 2016, brought to you by the paying members of BillWhittle.com. All right, quick recap for you. Trump looked strong in the first half, talking about trade and the economy, shutting down debate moderator Lester Holt when it suited him, and attacking hard, starting with just a second question way early in the debate. Clinton, she just blinked a lot and made excuses like, well, that's just your opinion. I swear she said that. She could have been the dude. Then in the second half, the debate moved to foreign affairs, and there Clinton looked strong, in command of the facts, lying her ass off and getting away with it, and Trump flailed around kind of desperately and pulled his punches, believe it or not, on Libya, on Clinton's email server, and even on his own income tax returns. Sad. So we have two candidates just filled with glaring flaws, both of them known as tough fighters, however, but there wasn't a single memorable hit in the whole thing. Trump was underprepared and more or less absent from the last 45 minutes, and Clinton was so overprepared that she could have been reciting her famous cookie recipe that she plagiarized from who knows where. Bill, I was expecting the clash of the titans, and instead we got Fredo Corleone versus George McFly. What happened?
Well, we might have gotten that in the last last hour or so, Steve. The first 20 or 30 minutes, I was watching the debate with a group of conservatives at a secure location here in Los Angeles under heavy guard. And when the thing started and Trump started just coming out swinging, I mean, they were we were cheering to the rafters, because we've never ever heard, certainly not in my since I've been following politics, a Republican who hit back hard and mocked her. I mean, we were just, I thought this thing was going to be a blowout. And then obviously the second half really kind of fell apart. And my friend Jeremy Boring, I'd love to take credit for this, but I think he's right on it. He said the debate turned when she went after his money, not his income taxes, not immigration, racism, none of that. When she started questioning how much money he made, his entire demeanor changed. And from that point forward, it was an explanation. Well, you could look up this and you might see this and you might see that and might see this, so on. My understanding, again, secondhand, is that Hillary hired something like 20 psychologists who really studied what Trump had said and studied his character, and found out that if you hit him there in the ego, he cannot not respond. He has to respond. And so she kept hitting him in areas that he thought needed to be defended against. She called him a racist, and he says, well, go look at my property in, Laguna Niguel or whatever. That's not a defense. When Trump was on the attack, he was absolutely amazing. But I think Hillary Clinton had his number and got to him in areas where his ego was at play. And Trump just simply went into defense mode. Oh, you can talk, ask Sean Hannity, he'll tell you. I mean, seriously, it was appalling. Nevertheless, I thought he got waxed at the second half of it, which means I thought Hillary won the debate clean. But this morning I saw both a Drudge and a Time and a CNBC poll that said in all cases Trump won the debate. And that may be Trumpers, but it also may be that people's perception is deeper than policy. We're policy wonks, and we're kind of into the nuances of all this other stuff. Trump said it's about the economy. They're stealing our jobs, and you don't know how to count money, and I do.
Well, that's pretty strong. I mean, Trump didn't melt down during this thing. Hillary Clinton didn't cough up any wads of guacamole. So weren't even the downsides. They weren't any fun in this thing, were they?
No, I was looking for. I thought the chances were 50% or better for a Hillary health symptom of some kind, and she looked strong and she looked very lifelike, and. But Trump questioned her stamina, and she came back with an answer, which was obviously pre-prepared. I was healthy enough to negotiate for 290 days or whatever. But Trump should have said, well, 2 days ago, we saw you collapsing into a car. And by the way, the last thing, Steve, is when they started talking about cybersecurity, I literally is drooling. I was drooling. I said, here it comes, here it comes. And to drop the ball on the emails like that, I just, because he was on the defensive. She put him on the defensive, and that entire time he's trying to defend that he's got lots of money, that his hands are not abnormally small. All of these things get to him, and this is his Achilles heel, and I think she found it.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. One last thing, Bill, a lot of controversy, believe it or not, over the fact that she was wearing a bright red pantsuit. Was that a mistake, or do you think she looks strong?
I think she looks. I thought she looked better than I've seen her look in a long time. That the red pantsuit, was it on Between Two Ferns, where Zach Galifianakis asked her about the pantsuits because he said he's always been interested in the idea of a librarian from outer space, and I thought, perfect. No, I thought she looked very elegant last night, actually, astonishingly good, and obviously it's 1 down, 2 to go. Steve, the question will be: is this a built-in weakness that Donald Trump simply cannot overcome? Because if it is, he's in trouble. If it's not, then we know one thing from this first round, and that is when Donald Trump is on the attack, it is devastating.
Yeah, he came into this one underprepared on purpose, so that's something he can change going forward. But if Hillary's got a hook into his ego, that can be devastating as she gets sharper at it over these next couple of debates, having learned from the success of the first one. All right, Scott, I know you swore off watching the debate, and I can't blame you. I only watch because I'm contractually obligated to by PJ Media. But I also knew you've been reading the online coverage. My question isn't whether the coverage was fair or not, because that's going to depend on the publication or anything like that. But given the nature of this year's race, of these two candidates, and really this bloodless spectacle we saw throughout so much of last night, given all that, have you found the reporting to be more revealing of the debate or more revealing of the reporters?
Yeah, I think the reporting is doing what we predicted, yesterday. For those who have seen our pre-recorded conference call, which is available on YouTube this week, usually for members only, but this week in the clear, I think you'll see that I was basically saying what I think is going to happen is all those people who love Donald Trump will come out and say he hit it out of the park. All those people who love Hillary Clinton will come out and say she hit it out of the park, and everybody will agree to disagree, and it really isn't going to change anybody's opinion. I do believe that no matter what else you say, with 82 million or more viewers watching this thing, I really don't think it's going to have a substantive effect on the campaign. But I also think that it turned out exactly the reverse of the way I expected it to, and I violated our covenant, Steve. I watched the debate, and I read very little of the coverage. In fact, my whole family watched it together, except for one of them who fell asleep, and that one of them was me at times. But what surprised me was I expected that Donald Trump, and I've said before, Donald Trump is like a hockey player, and he moves really well on the ice, and he can, flow back and forth, and he can hit a slap shot where you're not expecting it. And Hillary Clinton is kind of a buttoned down, protocol observing person. Hillary Clinton came in prepared. Donald Trump came in unprepared, and she rattled him. And that stunned me. I was totally surprised by that. I know he's thin-skinned, and I know that he generally doesn't take the time that a serious candidate would to prepare for things, but it still really shocked me how she was able to get under his skin. And she was, if you go back and analyze that section about his tax returns, she was brilliant in that. And I'm sure it took, 75 consultants, 112 years combined to be able to design that. But she not only, she started off and she said, well, why won't he release his tax returns? Is it because he doesn't make as much money as he claims he does?
See, that's the weakness.
There you go.
That's the ego weakness.
Is it because he doesn't give very much to charity? Is it because he may have some shady dealings with foreign bankers? Or is it just because, what was the last one? She said, that he doesn't pay any taxes. But she could have stopped there and would have had a great response, but she pressed forward and she said, what I mean by not paying taxes is he doesn't support our troops. He doesn't support schools. He doesn't support our vets. And she went in and just nailed him like he's the rich guy who's holding back his own money so that the things that he says he values don't get support. And she just twisted him in knots there, and then he became so defensive that even when Lester Holt wanted Hillary Clinton to talk about her emails, Trump brought the subject back to his finances and his taxes.
Yep. Yeah. It's his critical weakness.
Yeah.
Can I just...
Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
just before we close, look, I thought Donald Trump started strong and then got really essentially almost destroyed. And yet these people are calling it a tie, and these 3 polls that I saw, they're probably slanted, but they had Trump ahead in all 3. All I want to say is if Trump numbers do not fall, in fact, if they hold steady or go up, then I think this election is his absolutely.
He's a god.
Because if his numbers,
It's a crazy
if he
year.
came out of, well, it is a crazy year. That's my point. If he came out of this debate ahead because of his taking it to Hillary Clinton and talking about the economy and tax cuts, if he came out of this ahead, then I think there's no stopping him.
Hey, Scott, I want to get back to you for just a second on this. You know, during the primaries, Trump faced 16 other Republicans, 4 of whom, that I can think of off the top of my head, probably have IQs above room temperature. Why couldn't any of them put together an attack on Trump like Clinton did last night when those faults, those flaws, that ego, that thin skin were all on display for the last 30 years or more?
I think part of it is just the sort of faux civility within the party of, the gentleman from New York says the gentleman from Virginia, blah, 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 And I think to a certain extent it's that, and those gloves come off when you're dealing with somebody from the other party. And frankly, as, for all of my loathing of what Hillary Clinton has done with regard to, her dishonesty, with regard to her management of the State Department and many, many other things, and all the scandals, she's no dummy, and she came into that. She, as Bill pointed out, she looked good. She sounded good. And if I were from, Jupiter, and I landed there last night and just watched these 2 people and knew nothing else about them, and you asked me, hey, which one of those is president of the United States? I would have said the one in red.
Folks, Clinton tried to trip up Trump on taxes, and she pretty much failed on that one because nobody really seems to care. Trump tried to hit Clinton on her emails, and in the lamest part of the debate, as Scott said, Trump himself changed the topic back to his own income taxes. Clinton tried to make trumped up trickle down the new there he goes again, but again, nobody cared. Trump hardly mentioned Obama, Benghazi, Libya. Well, you know what? Instead of boring you with all the details of just how lame most of this debate was, I'm going to show you a clip from Monday night that I think explains it all. Just 15 top seconds from last night's debate. Here you go.